Oh man. Yeah, if you have this kind of effect on me, that means you're a pretty good writer. Hello everyone, how have you been? I hope that it's been a good week for you. Nothing too surprising, nothing too alarming. I hope that you have been on top of things, and if not, my prayers and my thoughts go to you. Otherwise, welcome to Grade My 1119. This is the show where you send me your essays and I will grade them according to SPM 1119 standards together with you on YouTube so that you know where you are and how you can improve, and everybody can learn together. Look at this video, isn't it great? I really love how detailed it is. Now, you want to look professional in your online lessons, in your YouTube videos, in your online conferences, then you should check out this camera. It's the M200 sponsored by Canon. Now this camera is just plugged into my computer with only a USB cable. All I had to do was download the webcam software from Canon's website, plug it in, turn it on, and that's it. It's a webcam that I can use for anything from Zoom to YouTube and OBS and all that good stuff. So check it out and let me know what you think in the comments. Today we have an essay from St. Joseph's International School. Now the title for this essay cat got my tongue. The title of this essay is Suicide Forest, Japan. Interesting. Let's check it out. The forest was thick and dense. The tall tree branches clustered together, blocking out small rays of sunlight. I like the imagery here. The trunk was thick, carvings of knives and fingernails embedded deep, with each scratchy detail visible. Okay, I will need to do some gymnastics here. The trunk was thick, with each scratchy detail from carvings of knives and fingernails. I think the deeply embedded would be nice. Okay, the trunk was thick from the trunk was thick, with each scratchy detail from carvings of knives and fingernails deeply embedded. Wonderful. The trees are old, wise as the owl. What's wrong with my mouth today? Seen too many things in a long lifetime. And have seen too many things in their long lifetimes. The branches were droopy, so this should be past tense because everything is past tense before that. So let me change this to past tense. Trees were old, wise as the owl, and had seen too many things in their long lifetimes. The branches were droopy, as if morose, depressed, and had seen things that had scarred it for life. You're repeating this one here, so I'm going to remove this. Scarred them for life. Whispering among itself, the forest had its own topic and story. Story to tell. Secretive and dark, a black heart of its own. Now, if you want to use a semicolon, the thing that follows it needs to be like a full sentence. This is not a full sentence, so better for it to be a comma or a colon. Whispering among itself, the forest had its own story to tell, secretive and dark, and a black heart of its own. The forest has its own story and a black heart. Old memories are hidden in the old forest. A new one made every week. Yeah, semicolon doesn't really work here, buddy. Old memories are hidden in the old forest, comma. A new one made every week, with a new one made every week. Ropes with dead bodies hung, moldy and tattered. Okay, this is very poetic, but this is not a sentence. You know, you don't have a verb here. So let's change this. On ropes, dead bodies hung, moldy and tattered. Each body that hung swayed in the wind. Corpses that no one was brave enough to collect and bury with a proper funeral. Faded red and white strings were loosely tied to the trunk. To a trunk, each leading down a different path. So what I'm thinking is, so there's a tree with strings tied to it, and the strings go into like different paths. I think that's what you're trying to say, right? Most torn with the last thread of fibers hanging. Mostly torn with the last threads of fiber hanging. The strings represented each suicide and death that had occurred in the forest. Oh, that's so solemn. Old shoes. What? Okay, so you need to bring this up. So solemn. Old shoes, watches, valuables scattered around the forest, deserted by their late owners. The smell and air was arid. A heavy tension that hung overhead carried a heavy burden, death. This one you can use a semicolon. The smell and air was arid. Heavy tension that hung overhead carried a heavy burden, death. The musty scent floated around their surroundings. These surroundings. The ground stained with blood. Wow. The ground was stained with blood and coated with fallen leaves. The leaves were huge, wide and broad. A lush green grass peeked out from the crevices of the ground. Nice. Familiar shoe prints were imprinted into the moist ground, each leading towards a different direction, a different end, the same escape, vanishing into the foggy distance. Wonderful. I like how you describe things. Very nice. The forest was mute. Not even a rustle of leaves could be heard. Only a layer of the curtain could be foreseen. The curtain. So I didn't understand this part. Only a layer of the curtain could be foreseen. What do you mean? What is the curtain? What is the layer? Are you talking about mist or sound? There was foreboding hate in the forest, and one does not simply step in to the suicide forest. An uneasy slumber spread around the forest, mute and deaf. Silent, harsh, loud screaming echoed throughout the environment. Feelings that washed over the forest were dark, hidden, full of secrets and its own mystery. A veil that carpeted the forest amidst in death. So you're talking about the sound like it's a veil, so an unseen. Not a speckle of happiness could be located in the forest. However, souls full of hatred and anger float around the forest, wishing their death to be reciprocated. Nice. You made me feel really, really solemn and a little bit down. Okay. Oh man. Yeah, if you have this kind of effect on me, that means you're a pretty good writer. Okay, so what do you think? Let me know in the comments. What do you think this essay should get in SPM 1119? You can pause this video and continue when you're ready to hear what I think. So what I think is, because of the way that this essay is written, it's very impactful. A lot of very, very specific, very low frequency vocabulary was used. Very poetic almost. And man, it really did impact me when I was reading it. Brought my energy level way down. Really solemn, really like depressing to read. I mean, so I would say that this would be an A essay. And because of the grammatical errors or some issues with clarity in this essay, it cannot be a high A. It's probably a low A or a high B. Now let's look at the criteria for A before we decide, okay? The language is entirely accurate, apart from very occasional first draft slips. So if you look at the essay here, it's not entirely accurate. Not really first draft slips as well, because there are a lot of slips all over the place. So it might not even qualify for an A. That's the first criteria up here. Let's look at the rest, okay? Sentence structure is varied and shows that the candidate is able to use various types of sentences to achieve a particular effect. So sentence structure is varied and a particular effect is achieved, but not all the time, because there were a lot of parts where I had to fix certain sentences as well as punctuation issues. So I think this essay cannot be an A. Let's look at B, alright? The language is accurate. Occasional errors are either minor or first draft slips. So occasional errors. Yeah, there are occasional errors here. Probably a little bit more than occasional, but yeah, still okay. Vocabulary is wide enough to convey intended shades of meaning with some precision. Yes, for sure. Sentences show some variation of length and type, including some complex sentences. Yes. Punctuation is almost always accurate. No. Spelling is nearly always accurate. Yes. Paragraphs show some evidence of planning, have unity, and are usually appropriately linked. Yes. Piece of writing is relevant to the topic, and the interest of the reader is aroused and sustained. Yes, definitely. Okay, so it doesn't really satisfy all the requirements of the B. That means that we cannot give this essay a high B. It has to be either a mid or a low B. So how can this person improve? This is a really good piece. You have started out really well, but I think what you need to do is do some proofreading on your own, and make sure that each sentence is clear. Make sure that your punctuation is used accurately. If you don't really know how to use a semicolon, Google it up. It's actually a very easy to use punctuation. It's very useful. It's like a period, but it's closer. Like the two sentences are very closely related. That's when you use a semicolon. But how you use the semicolon in this essay shows us that you definitely don't know how to use it accurately. So if you don't know how to use the punctuation, just use a period and comma. Those are the most common, and you probably won't make mistakes doing those. You were very poetic. There were a lot of parts where you wrote phrases rather than entire clauses as a sentence, which is fine if you're writing a poem, but this is an essay. It's poetic, it's nice to read, it will look great on social media, but if you want to send this to an exam, you better make sure that it's standard grammar. Okay, you get some poetic license as long as you adhere to, basic standard grammar. Yeah, you have very good language ability. I think that you can definitely score an A, but think about clarity, one, and try to be as accurate as possible. You have great vocabulary, you have great ideas you can describe, you can use sentence structures to elicit certain emotions out of your readers. That's great. You have the capability to get an A. Alright, I hope that this helps. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to have your essay graded on this channel, please send an email to this address. If you like this content, if it's useful to you and you learn something out of it, like and subscribe to motivate me to make even more. And most importantly, send me your essays, okay? Until next time, I'll see ya. Bye!